Another difficult night for John the 23rd, whose condition continues to decline. The scenes you see here at St. Peter's Square were taken at 6 a.m. this morning when crowds of faithful had already gathered, among whom many children praying with their parents. Not only the locals, but even heads of state throughout the world participate in this vigil, including President Kennedy and Chairman Khrushchev. Through news agencies, they follow the last hours of this beloved Pope. The pontiff is assisted by Dr. Valdoni and Monsignor Capovilla, from whom he receives communion every morning.
I know how grave your last hours must be, but life was never easy for you, dear Angelo. You were in poor health the day you were elected, but never once did you postpone an audience. And yet no one knows how trying a Pope's life can be. I recall one day 5 years ago, when the Shah of Persia awaited you in the throne room. You arrived carried in the gestatorial chair, enveloped in a golden light, a consummate scene. But observing you closer, I saw a moment of dismay in your eyes. But nothing would deter you from your obligation. You immediately reassured Monsignor Capovilla with a smile, for he too had spied your momentary lapse. Apart from yourself, dear Angelo, you never neglected a thing.
Dr. Caputo should be getting here any minute now, as I would like to have another opinion, but the truth is, we need to make some clinical tests.
It's not easy to convince him. He keeps on saying that he's fine.
Come in.
Oh, where? Dr. Valdoni must visit His Holiness as soon as possible. He must be here.
Very well, Monsignor. I'll go and see.
Forgive me, Grosso, but if he were there, you'd know.
Well,
Tell him we came by.
Yes, of course.
And that we will...
They left, Your Holiness.
Coming.
But I had to lie.
It was only half a lie. I heard you. God will forgive half a lie.
Buenos días, Santidad.
Morning. Thank you, Guido. You're looking a little tired lately. Perhaps I've been working you too hard. We were never this busy in Venice.
Your Holiness, I'm so happy and honored that I hardly ever feel tired.
But how are you being compensated for this tiredness that you don't feel?
Appropriately.
But is this appropriate salary enough for you and your family?
Well, we do our best.
Guido, I've raised the typographer's salary and the chair-bearers. Well, before, they only had to carry Pius XII. Now, they carry me. And I've raised the workers' wages. Guido, you are the last on the list.
Your Holiness, thank you very much, but it's really not necessary.
Tell your wife that. Why don't you bring her here? With your family. I'd like to see them.
My family here?
Of course. I can't only grant audiences to heads of state and queens and ambassadors. I want to have a normal conversation.
But it's so difficult to speak with the Pope
without thinking that he's the Pope. Yes, I know. And that's the point. We're late.
Is it true that today we're going there to the...
Yes, it's true. Where we're going, they can only but wait for us.
Take that hat off. It's cold in here.
Perhaps you're wondering why I've come here. Well, you couldn't come to me.
He's got a good point there.
A friend of mine, years back, committed a small crime and was thrown into prison. So I went to visit him. "What are you doing here, my friend?" he said. "This is not the right place." I answered him, "This also is a house of the Father. I've come to see how you are doing. Can't you figure it out for yourself?" Yes, that's why I'm here. To put my heart next to yours. I'm no longer that young priest. And don't think it's easy for a pope to get around. I am here to see you. I would like to put my heart next to yours and next to the hearts of those who are waiting for you at home. Your children, your wives, sisters, and mothers who give you solace and perhaps sadness. Tonight, write home to your families and tell them, today the Pope came to see you because you are not the forgotten men. You are all my children. And I bless you. I will cherish today forever. In the deep of my soul, in a special corner of my heart.
Long live John the 23rd! Your Holiness! Come back here! Your Holiness! Stop it! Stop it! Talk to him!
No, no, let him through. No.
Holiness. Your Holiness. I killed a man. What you said was not meant for me. It wasn't.
Oh, yes, it was. It was for you. Yes, my son. Yes, especially for you. Be at peace. The Lord knows your sorrow, and He forgives. Don't cry. Come, don't cry. I shall pray for you, and you for me.
Thank you.
Today in a prison, and only God knows where tomorrow. He certainly isn't modeling himself after his predecessor. Pius XII spiritually guided his flock from afar, without the need of pursuing popularity. The only times he had approached the faithful was during the liturgies. I did warn you, and there's no better judge than an old schoolmate.
He also knows you well, and yet he doesn't object to your opposing him. Perhaps he doesn't fear you.
He's far from being naive, I can tell you that. He doesn't fear me, nor does he fear Tardini, his Secretary of State. Nor does he fear you, for that matter.
I'd rather have a doctor's opinion on that.
Oh.
Dr. Valdona's here.
Let's leave the doctors to those who need them, and let's waste their time.
That's their job.
Well, all right. Let's not waste our time with them. Thank you. Guido, perhaps we could say the Our Father together.
Gladly, Your Holiness.
Padre nostro qui es in
cielo,
in celis,
in celis sanctificatum,
sanctificetur,
sanctificetur nomen tuo,
nomen tuum,
nomen tuum, aveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tuum,
voluntas tua,
fiat voluntas tua.
Guido, Cuso, your Latin is not very good.
It wasn't good in my school days, and now you can imagine.
Try again. Pater noster.
Qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, aveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas.
Ah, pruning.
Instead of being a smart aleck, why don't you pass me the saw?
Isn't it a little early for pruning?
Your Holiness, forgive me. I didn't. Excuse me. Your Holiness. I thought you were Pinuccio. He always likes to do, you know, impersonations.
Your Holiness, I want to thank you for what you did for us.
Think of it as divine providence for your family.
Oh, Holy Father, you doubled our salaries. It was your decision. Everyone knows that. My wife is about to have a child. I'd like to thank you also for them.
When is the child due?
In 2 months, Your Holiness. If it's a boy, we're going to call him Angelo. If it's a girl, Angelina.
Can we grow tulips? Can we grow some?
Oh, yes, Holy Father.
They're nice. Yeah.
Tulips.
Ah, Father Loris.
Good morning, Holiness.
It is such a privilege to feel the grass under your feet. You should have seen the magnificent garden I had in Istanbul. All these different plants living together peacefully. Even then, I thought the church should be like a garden. Illuminated by God. Not like a museum, a very old museum. But I was just a bishop then and could do nothing about it.
And now you're the Pope.
Yes. My heart trembles at the thought. But I intend to convene a council.
A council?
An assembly from which African and Asian and American deacons can be heard.
You mean an ecumenical council?
Yes. All the bishops, all of them. They guide the church from places we can't even imagine.
But Your Holiness,
It's time to listen to them. Oh, sit down.
Have you spoken of this?
We're the first to know. Do you think we need a doctor?
You are aware that this decision may attract a lot of criticism.
Yes. Loris, the council is necessary. It cannot be postponed any longer. Imagine a church where every voice is heard, like the flowers in a garden opening to the sun. We can do it.
Yes.
We can.
You can't imagine how excited my wife and daughter are to meet you, even for just a moment.
And I'm happy because it's happening on such a beautiful day.
With all due respect, Your Holiness, it's a beautiful day because they will all see you close up. But the weather is threatening.
You're right, Guso. And soon you'll hear thunder.
Excuse me, please. Dolores! Dolores! You had me come all this way to cover a mass? I know it's important, but I have to go to the Minister of the Interior. He's important, too. Can't you give us a hint?
Have faith.
You're asking a lot. An article of a big mass? Nobody in the world's gonna read it.
Have faith and wait.
Yeah, that's the story of my life. Go get some shots of the Pope anyway.
Can't see him anymore.
I pronounce before you, revered brothers, trembling a little, overwhelmed with emotion, but at the same time, with humble resolve, the name and the proposal of an ecumenical council for the universal church. I asked you to pray for a providential beginning and the success of all the hard work that this will entail, to which many souls will look at with hope from all over the world. I must say, Your Eminences, I was expecting some kind of reaction, but not total silence.
Certain news can leave one speechless.
I should think we need more time, Your Holiness. It's an announcement of paramount importance.
Nearly 100 years have passed since the last council. I hope we won't have to wait so long to see it's time to hold another one.
Why do we need a council? Didn't Pius IX proclaim the Pope's infallibility?
Bishops coming from such faraway places, they wouldn't have the slightest idea of how Rome rules.
Putting up with his rustic provincial ways is one thing, but that he should make decisions without consulting us is quite another.
You must be realistic now, Your Eminence. After all, he is the Pope.
Isn't he, though?
We entrusted you with a mission of finding a transitional pontiff, one who would diligently continue in the wake of Pius XII with absolute obedience. And what do we end up with? A council.
It's such a great honor to be here with my family, Your Holiness.
Guido, it's an absolute joy for me to eat with a real family for once. And it's an honor to look on your child's face.
What a pity the teacher won't believe me when I tell her that I was at the Pope's home.
You can tell her what I ate, but don't say anything about dessert, or Dr. Valdoni will be very cross with me.
Come now, we should go. The Pope has so many things to do.
Yes, this is true. I have to do my homework.
Homework?
Well, yes, let's call it that. I have to prepare a council.
What's a council?
Let's say that your teacher wants to decide and discuss your academic program with you and all your classmates. No, rather, all your classmates and all the children in Italy. No, better. All the children in the world.
All the children in the world?
Yes. The Pope has to make decisions with all the bishops in the world. So, He invites them all to St. Peter's. Guess how many are coming? 2,500.
And they'll all come?
Well, let's hope so. Do you know how to make a mouse with a napkin? Do you know how to do it? Guido.
John, it's not that difficult, Your Holiness. I'll show you.
How's it?
You make a little knot like this, and doompa, doompa.
You see, I told you he'd come. Oh, Your Holiness, thank you for coming. Holy Father, she's just a child, and the Lord is taking her from us.
I'm here to pray with you.
Thank you.
Hello, Katharina.
Hello, Holy Father. Is it really you?
Of course. I came to visit you.
I asked baby Jesus to let me see Pope John, because now I'm so sick.
Well, that's not what the doctors told me. And they're very good. Oh. I brought something for you. Do you know who she is?
Yes, it's Saint Catherine.
You see? I knew your name already. Now, tuck her under your pillow. Like I did when I was little. Otherwise, she gets very lonely.
You know, the other children here told me they also wanted to see you.
The Pope can't see everybody. I've got so many things to do.
Have you other holy pictures for them?
No, not with me. But I should send you some, and you can pass them out.
Your Holiness, can I say that your cross is also for them?
What a wonderful idea. Yes, please. Yes, tell them. Let me pray for you.
And here, Your Holiness, our research analysis laboratory, the best of its kind in Rome.
Oh, good, good.
And here is the personnel in charge of the labs. Highly qualified doctors and laboratory technicians. In other words, Your Holiness, this hospital offers excellent diagnostic results.
That's wonderful. Keep up the good work.
Your Holiness, I truly think that it would be a good idea, since we are here, to run a few tests.
You're still working, Your Holiness?
No, I was just going through my old diaries. Sit down. All my life is here. I started dirtying these pages when I was 14. This here. This is the period I spent in Bergamo, from 1899 to 1920.
May I?
Yes. One of the happiest periods of my life. The happiest period of my life. The period I spent with Bishop Radini Tedeschi. There are some encounters in your life that just illuminate you. And when we're sad, they come back into our minds like a melody that follows us around. But it doesn't distract us. If only you knew how much we cared about each other, Radini and myself. And we never, ever told each other. Men are so...
reserved?
Yes. Like us. We were both aware of it. He once asked me to promise him something. Angelo, when my time comes, I want to hear it from you, because you are the one I mostly care about, and the first I want to hold me at that moment. Father Loris, could you make me such a promise? You are a friend, my friend.
Good morning, Your Holiness.
Ah, Father Loris. I called you earlier. What took you so long?
Aren't you cold?
No, I'm not cold. It's so beautiful and so rare to see Rome covered in snow. Yeah. The dome of St. Peter's looks like a Sukkoto cake. Did you go out today?
No, I went to the chapel to pray, then I went to mail those
I
letters.
was wondering why we still haven't had the results of the medical tests. I know it's difficult to keep that promise, but you have to.
Yes, it is.
You know already.
Forgive me. It's just so difficult. You have cancer, Your Holiness. Stomach cancer.
No crying now. There's no time for that. You have to help me finish my work. The council. That's all I want. God has given me so much. Even if I work very hard, I'll never repay him.
I can't even imagine going ahead without you.
You won't have time to think of that. You are the secretary to a very busy pope. Did you prepare the letter for the Holy See?
No, not yet.
Go and do it now. Go.
I have the terrible feeling that his program may undermine the Church's foundations and destroy our hierarchy.
Frankly, what His Holiness has done up until now is trifling. He's very convinced of his innovations, I assure you. A raging need for renewal among warring continents has gripped the world, and he's well aware of it.
What does that mean?
That what he has done with our church, he will try to do with the world. If we were to give him the chance and the time.
I doubt he'll have much time. I received a confidential report regarding his clinical situation. He has cancer. You didn't know?
No. And I don't like the way in which you gave the news.
Whatever the way, Your Eminence, bad news remains what it is.
Oh, I wouldn't call it bad news. Quite frankly, if the good Lord can't open the pontiff's eyes, he might just as well close them and spare us this council.
Notwithstanding the horror of those words, I was unable to defend you. But you parried the affronts on your own with the incessant preparations for the council. Patriarchs, archbishops, leaders of all cults responded to your invitation, with Monsignor Capobilla ever at your side.
And these are from China and Russia.
You personally weighed each proposal, not only concerning the state of clerical and liturgical matters, but also the sacrament of matrimony and the Church's relations with laymen. Although your illness gave you no respite, you never ceased working, bringing the Catholic Church closer to other Christian denominations, always with a compassionate approach, exhorting your basic precepts of life: love, family, daily bread, and peace. That sense of peace that you imbued to one and all. You even discussed with renowned architects the adjustments of the central nave in St. Peter's in order to accommodate the 2,905 guests, council prelates, technicians, and observers.
Flores, a letter from Caterina. She says, best wishes for your council. Oh, she's an angel. She's always in my prayers.
We'll contact her family, and we'll receive them as soon as possible, Your Holiness.
We need children. They need us. They're our future and our hope. I would like to dedicate the council, especially for the young.
On October 11th, 1962, after 44 months of preparation, the Second Vatican Council was inaugurated. The council you so wanted. Between two aisles of impassioned spectators, you were carried on your gestatorial chair across the square of St. Peter's. The event that would illuminate the world in search of spiritual perfection was witnessed and followed on numerous TV screens and radio newscasts. Naturally, the Curia was critical in your regard, above all on the debate of Latin liturgy, a request brought up by missionary bishops who sought permission to say Mass in the language of each land, allowing the faithful to better comprehend the word of Christ. Your address reiterated that ecumenical councils are the solemn celebration of the union of Christ with that of his Church. Thus, men, families, and nations shall direct their souls towards celestial things.
Venerabilis fratres, gaudet. Mater Ecclesia, quod singulari divine providentiae munere, optatissimus.
Look how beautiful my Pope is on television.
Mama, our friend the Pope is on TV.
He heard you.
Cuius materna dignitas
Hello.
odie, festoritur et colitur hic, ad beati Petri, sepulcrum, Concilium Ecumenicum Vaticanum Secundum Solemniter Initium.
That night, the faithful of Rome flocked to St. Peter's Square, celebrating the opening of your council. You hadn't prepared a talk of any kind, and yet your impromptu words shall always remain with us.
My dear children, I hear your voices. Mine is just a single voice, but it carries with it the voice of the whole world. And tonight, here, the entire world is represented. And it looks as if even the moon has rushed out to see this wonderful sight. Hear me as a brother speaking to you who has become your father through the will of the Lord. And together, we form the brotherhood through the grace of God.
It's magnificent.
So let us continue to love each other.
And yet it's so simple.
And let us gather what unites us.
You know, we started together at the seminary.
And put aside,
at a seminary?
if there are,
Yes.
those things that get in our way. When you go home to your children tonight, give them a gentle caress and say, this caress is from the Pope. There'll be a tear to dry, so have a kind word. The Pope is with you in all these moments of sadness, and together
I used to be a priest, but now
we come alive. We sing.
I was excommunicated because of my ideas.
But always with our faith in Christ, who helps us and listens to us.
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
It's high time, fathers, that the faithful who live far from Rome are able to celebrate the Mass in the language that they speak, so that they might finally understand it. And for elements of their own culture to be included into the Mass.
What on earth are you asking for? Masses said in Bantu, with masked bishops, swaying to the rhythm of drum beats?
Yes, in Bantu, in Swahili, in Italian, and in French. In all of the thousands of languages the Catholics of the world speak. All but Latin, which none of them understand.
The Church has always carried out its mission throughout the world for centuries, without ever altering the canon of the Mass.
But times are changing. The world is moving forward. And we notice with disappointment and dismay that Rome doesn't realize this.
Be seated. The Pope has promised not to interfere with the work of the Council or of its commissions, but I believe there are certain aspects of liturgical issues, such as which language to use for Mass, that the Pope has to express an opinion.
The sacred Mass, celebrated in primitive lingos, can you imagine? He's turned our role in the Curia to that of puppets, and yet makes a monument of himself. Here, you see? He's also on the cover of your Time magazine, and it never happened before.
It only shows that His Holiness is a great communicator. He knows the art of touching people's hearts, and uses all the tools available today. Newspapers, radio, television.
Then let's also use them. We need to find a way to reduce the importance of his public image.
His present recognition is spotless, impossible to attack.
But what about his past? You recall how insufferable the northern prelates were towards us of the Roman Curia. The modernists. Radini Tedeschi was his bishop with progressive tendencies. You know Angelo better than any of us. Thus you know where to look.
You are asking me to betray him?
No, I'm asking for an act of loyalty towards the church. Which is the church you believe in.
I haven't been able to contact him. You must see him from time to time. Could you give him a letter? There's a return address on the envelope. Would you do that for me? Please, give him this letter.
Yes?
Good evening. I have an appointment with His Eminence.
Yes, he's expecting you, sir.
Are you always so punctual?
Your Eminence.
I thank you for coming. Newsmen of your standing must be loath to accepting spur-of-the-moment requests.
Cardinals are an exception.
If you recall, I mentioned an incriminating letter. Well, this is the proof. It's from an old acquaintance. An excommunicated priest whose behavior cannot be considered representative of the church, Nicola Catania. He studied with His Holiness at the seminary. I can't give you the letter, but you have the gist of it.
Good morning, Your Holiness.
Good morning, Sister Celestina.
Your apple, Your Holiness.
Thank you, Sister Yolanda. Thank you.
Good morning, Your Holiness.
Father Lawrence, what's wrong? You look upset.
It's unpleasant to bring bad news.
Oh, it's not so bad if the recipient already knows.
So you read it then?
Yes.
They say the church has collapsed into chaos because of you. And you're incapable of protecting the supreme truth of faith. And your council is seriously tainted with modernism. These accusations come from inside these walls.
These walls don't only protect those who try to do good. The stones they throw at me, I leave on the ground.
Who could have spread that contentious information of your seminary years?
Someone who was in the seminary with me.
Cardinal Carcano. Why would he resent you so bitterly? He's your friend.
Because, although he is a man of God, he can never forgive me.
Forgive you for what?
For receiving from God all this grace without ever searching for it.
Here you are. With this you will sleep well.
Thank you, Sister Yolanda.
Night, Holiness.
Good night.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin regarding new developments in the contention between the United States of America and the Soviet Union over Cuban territorial waters. Good evening. A cluster of Soviet warships, possibly carrying medium and intermediate range ballistic missiles, have neared the naval blockade imposed by President Kennedy. No clarifying statements from the White House or the Kremlin have reached us as yet. The world is holding its breath over the dangerous evolving of a situation that could turn into a nuclear conflict. There seems to be no immediate solution ever since Soviet-built missile launching pads were sighted in Cuba. We will interrupt our program the moment we receive further news.
My God.
Sister Yolanda, calm down.
What's going to happen, Your Holiness? My family's there. My sisters, nieces, and my nephews.
No, not another war.
The good Lord won't allow that to happen, Guido. He won't let the world come to an end. Because this time it really could. What's happening?
The situation in Cuba is deteriorating. The Americans are ready for an eventual counterattack. Both sides are essentially in battle formation. The American embassy sent us a copy of their ultimatum. They give the Russians 24 hours to withdraw their battleships from the quarantined area.
What about negotiations? Aren't peace talks on the way?
No, Monsignor. However, there is just one more thing to add. A description of our evacuation plan in case of war.
If there is a nuclear war, there won't be anywhere to go. A personal appeal. A personal appeal from the Pope to the world, not to the world powers. They're the ones that hold our fate in their hands.
Oh, it's a very noble suggestion, Your Holiness, but it could be interpreted as the Holy See agreeing with the head of the Soviet Union, our worst enemy.
Yeah, the Pope has no enemies, and the Church has no enemies.
A unilateral act by the Church could weaken the position of its allies.
I am allied only to the search for peace at this time. How much time is left?
19 hours.
What the Church holds dearest are peace and the brotherhood of all men. Those of you in whose hands the Lord has entrusted power, listen. Listen to the anguish cry rising up from all corners of the world, from old and young alike, from individuals and communities alike. Listen as it rises up towards heaven. Peace, peace, peace. Today, we invoke this solemn entreaty. We supplicate world leaders not to remain deaf to humanity's cry and to spare the world the horrors of a war whose terrifying consequences are unimaginable. We pray that they may continue to negotiate and to meet on all levels, because this is the way of wisdom and of caution that favors the blessings of heaven and earth. And only by doing so will they be able to stand with a clear conscience before the judgment of history.
Your Holiness, the Russian fleet has withdrawn.
God. What happened was a miracle.
The miracle, Your Holiness, was your appeal.
No, it wasn't just that. It was that divine will and the will of mankind coincided. That was the real miracle. Peace must be put in the hands and the hearts of all men, not just the Catholics, because the Pope
must love all his children equally.
Your Holiness?
Hurry up, I'm late! Move it!
Get back, out of the way, please. Out of the way.
Here they are.
Where is she? I can't see her.
Sorry, out of the way.
Is this a peace mission, madam?
Hey, Canova, that's about time. Now you show up. Just her. I was staking out in Via Veneto, waiting for Gina Lollobrigida. Who's this? Rada Khrushcheva, Khrushchev's daughter.
Mrs. Adjubey.
Khrushchev, the Russian premier. Yeah. So why the hell does he call her Adjubey? That's her married name. Come on, shoot.
Мой отец послал поздравления с Рождеством Христовым папе Джованни 23-му.
My wife has, that her father has sent Christmas greetings to the Pope.
Signor Adjubey, Mr. Adjubey, as I understand, you'll be staying 2 days. What would you like to do while you're here in Rome?
Get closer.
We would like to meet His Holiness John the 23rd.
In the Vatican?
Personally.
We got commies going to the Pope? Nothing's sacred anymore. Yeah, you least of all. Mrs. Adjubey, a nice smile.
Are you sure you want to meet Rada Khrushcheva and her husband? Your Holiness, you must realize that Adjubey now holds a key position. He's a theorist, part of the hierarchy of the Communist Party.
I look at it this way, Your Eminence. If I refuse to see people who have asked for nothing, who have simply requested a chance to show their respect, I am negating my previous position.
But the Russians are taking advantage of your receptiveness for propaganda purposes.
Khrushchev has released imprisoned priests without asking for anything in return. And he responded to my appeal during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Your Holiness, they are poisoned gifts.
No, they are like signals from a distant planet. How can we not listen to them? I know it's usual for the Pope to give grander presents to queens and princesses and other important ladies who are not Catholics. But I wanted to give you a rosary because my mother used to say the rosary near the hearth when she cooked for her family. I come from a very large family. There were 10 of us, and not a whole lot to eat.
Мы тоже из крестьянской семьи.
We too come from a country family.
Вы знаете, Ваше Преосвященство, что в Советском Союзе вас называют папа-крестьянин.
She asked if you knew that in Soviet Union you're called the peasant pope.
And I know you have 3 children back home.
Он знает, что у вас 3
Да.
детей.
Никита, Алексей и Иван.
Nikita, after his grandfather.
Никита, как дедушка.
Да.
And I know Alexei is popular in the East.
Имя Алексей очень популярно на Востоке.
But Ivan, John,
Но Иван
is the name I chose from my papacy.
это имя моего
It is my father's name
а также имя
and my
моего
grandfather's
отца
name.
и дедушки.
When you go home to Russia,
Когда вернетесь в Россию,
give little Ivan a special hug from me.
крепко обнимите от меня маленького Ивана.
The other 2 won't mind.
Другие ваши дети не обидятся.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, Father Luca, good. Make sure this audience with Rada Khrushcheva Adjubey is highlighted as much as possible, especially in our own press. With the right tone, of course. Check everything with our interpreter here. He can give you all the details. Remember the tone. The tone is very important. Familiar, like between father and daughter.
Certainly, Monsignor. Ready, Father?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure?
Absolutely, Your Holiness. There's no mention of your meeting with Rada Khrushcheva Adjubey. I'm stunned. I really don't understand.
I expected this from the other papers. I've grown used to their attacks by now. Osservatore Romano, our own newspaper. Not to mention it, I was explicit. In my day, obedience to the Pope meant something.
Actually, Your Holiness, there was some coverage from our press, or rather there will be. Here's a first draft of an article that will come out in next month's issue of Catholic Citadel.
How is this possible? A gesture of peace has been turned into a vulgar, obscene attack. Are you the one responsible for this article?
In spirit, if not physically.
Oh. It says here. Yeah. The Pope had a private meeting with the daughter of the leader of a political party that has always been considered the Church's eternal enemy. This strikes me as an inappropriate way to define communism.
How would you define it?
I would work to combat it, not define it.
Many people don't get that impression.
Simply because I don't shut the door in the adversary's face?
First, you contested the word enemy. Now you use the term adversary.
Yesterday's enemies can be tomorrow's friends. And the Church has no enemies. And adversaries are those who you confront yourself with, my dear. Something you've never done with me. You've only ever fought me. Always.
You have the right to relieve me of my position here. If you don't have confidence in me, why don't you do so?
Because I can't but love you, my dear. You're part of my life. Like Nicola. I learned that he was trying to contact me. He gave a letter to someone, but I never received that letter. Instead, it ended up as an editorial in a newspaper.
It was all lies anyway.
No. I've never denied my friendship with Nicola. But it's detestable that it should be used to slander us both. Since it was someone who knows me very well.
I don't know what you mean.
Don't lie to me, Mattia. We're too old. And I don't have much time.
To do what?
To save our friendship.
If there is nothing else, Your Holiness.
Oh, God. Why is it so difficult? Mattia. Mattia.
Your Holiness? You're asking a lot of this record, Your Holiness. You played it so much. It's worn out. Holy Father. Holy Father. Your Holiness? Your Holiness.
Your Holiness. Your Holiness. Help. Guido. Help. Don't go. Guido.
Well, your blood pressure is pretty much back to normal, but you must stay put for a while. You must rest, Your Holiness. You must rest.
Thank you very much, Dr. Baldoni.
You're welcome. Your Holiness.
Dolores. Oh, Holiness, what have they done to you? Have they no shame?
Everyone has their own cross to bear, Father Loris. But when it is a friend who is attacking you, you can't help but begin to feel doubt. I thought back over my life last night, my long journey. I thought of the point that I've arrived at now, the highest. And I asked myself if my disregard for vanity and honors is really sincere. Last night I came face to face with doubt, Father Loris. For the very first time. And isn't that in itself perhaps a sign of enormous presumption?
I don't know. I wouldn't know how to answer for myself either. But I can tell you what I do know. I know you're a good man, that your heart is pure. And when the moment finally comes, that will be the only thing that you'll present to God. And God will be pleased by what he sees. I'll let you rest, Your Holiness.
I had learned of your illness and felt my heart sinking. Only then did I realize the extent of my injustice towards you.
Stop that, Guido, please. Try to eat something.
Daddy, I know you're sad because our good Pope is sick. Here, give him this drawing.
Very nice, Thomasina.
When you take it to him, tell him I want to be a doctor when I grow up so I can take care of him too. You'll tell him?
Certainly, darling.
And turn the lights out.
Of course, Your Highness.
Cardinal, what's wrong?
I have to talk to you.
Oh, not again. You have too many afterthoughts. I haven't time now.
Listen, I was wrong. We were wrong about everything.
About what?
Everything. Everything we said and did. He is right. That article, we have to revise it with his corrections. I think we're still in time.
You know that's impossible. It's already been decided, hasn't it? That article will be published, and that's all.
You cannot do that.
May I ask, what has gotten into you? Huh? You come barging into my office and start talking like a madman.
We have to make amends, and there's no more time.
Oh, true. There's no more time, particularly for repenting.
I didn't want all this. You had asked me to do it. You forced me, and against my will.
a fairly weak will, Your Eminence. I suggest you go home and rest.
Your bed is still made, Your Holiness. Didn't you sleep?
I don't have time to sleep.
Dr. Baldoni says that if you don't rest...
This is my doctor. You see how healthy I look? You know Pope's projects all die with him, sister. Because no one else wants to carry them out.
Good heavens, why are you talking about dying?
Because I'm ready. Because I've already packed my bags. But before I finally close them, I want to finish my encyclical on peace. Do you remember how afraid you were during the Cuban Missile Crisis? Well, no one must ever feel fear like that again. All armies must lay down their weapons. Racism must be abolished. And discrimination against women, so that women can begin to find their own paths. I can't be at peace until I have finished my Pacem in Terris, and everyone can read it. I see that it's translated into Russian, Chinese, and English.
Not in Spanish?
Did I forget Spanish?
Mm-hmm.
And Spanish, too.
A copy of the Pacem in Terris in Spanish.
Hey, move over there. Take a picture from you.
A copy of the Pacem in Terris in French for President de Gaulle.
Can you move over there? Over here. Yes, that's
A copy for John F. Kennedy. Copy in Russian for Premier Nikita Khrushchev.
How silly.
Bye, darling. I'm going.
You're not going to allow His Holiness to read the papers this morning?
See what they called his encyclical Pacem in Terris? Peace on earth with a hammer and sickle. As if it were his fault that the communists gained 1 million votes in our last election. And you know why? Because often his encyclicals talk about working classes, women's rights, and the underprivileged. But his defending of human rights doesn't mean he's taking a political stand. This nonsense is going to hurt him terribly, just when his health is so poor.
Don't worry, Guido. His encyclical will live forever. While these newspapers will end up wrapping fish tomorrow morning.
It's Friday. Fish markets are open today. Bye, darling.
This goes back to your Istanbul days.
Yeah.
There's such a wealth here. You should have it published.
No. I wrote all this before I was the Pope. It wouldn't be right. You can. After I've gone. It's all I have to leave you.
This is the greatest gift you...
You know, I've been to so many places. But recently, my mind keeps going back to Sotilmonte. Those fields. That light. It's as if I never left the place.
Oh, Mama!
Or perhaps the place never left me.
I'd like to go live there.
Really? I can imagine you in Sottilmonte. That way, we would be close forever.
Yes. Yes, Your Holiness.
Guido? You didn't bring my newspapers?
They haven't been delivered yet.
Oh, too bad. Because there's an editorial cartoon devoted to me.
Yes, but it doesn't look a bit like you, I swear.
So you have seen the newspapers?
Yes, Your Holiness. I just couldn't.
You wanted to deny me the pleasure of having you console me, Guido? You're my family. You are the people I turn to when I'm disappointed, in need of solace. Guido, tell your daughter I am counting on her to be a doctor.
Yes, Your Holiness.
Is she here? Guido. Let's go and make me handsome.
Is it true she's ill, Your Holiness? She looks so pretty, so alive.
Yes, Guido. She is very ill. Did you know that kings and queens from all over the world have sat in that chair? You look like a little princess today.
Good morning, Holy Father.
Come. Would you like to try mine? Mm-hmm. But don't tell a soul, though. Thank you for coming to visit me.
Does God have hands like yours?
Maybe. He made the earth and the land. Yeah, I suppose he's got hands just like mine.
And what happens when you are in the hands of God?
You see all the people you love again. I have a lot of them in heaven. My father, my mother, my sisters. Almost all my family.
So you never feel alone?
Oh, no. You never feel alone. You're with God, who is the source of all love. It is where all the love in the universe comes from. Did you know that? When I was little, and my father took my hand, I used to smile inside because I knew that he was there and he loved me and nothing bad could ever happen to me. And so I always clung tightly to the hand of God. And because he's our Father. And I let him guide me. And I smile inside.
But if you were in the hands of God, and I'm still here, how do I talk to you when I want to?
Just call me. I'll hear you.
I love you, good pup. Can I come back and visit you again?
Of course you can, Katerina. Of course you can.
He promised me I could meet him again. Are you gonna let me see him, Mommy?
Of course. Don't cry. Don't cry, my love. Come. Come with me.
The Vatican announced this morning that the ailing Pope, John the 23rd, will receive the cardinals of the Curia in his private apartments. Thousands of letters, telegrams and testimonials have reached the Vatican with words of comfort for the good Pope John, who even in this critical moment of his life has inevitably won the hearts of people throughout the world.
What are you doing, you idiot? That drunk ran into me.
Nicola.
Seems as if the political aspect has taken over, Your Eminence.
Exactly. That's why Montini's name was mentioned as his likely successor. The factor here is one of intention.
Angelo isn't dead yet.
Thank the Lord, and let's hope in a miracle.
Sometimes the Lord does perform miracles, like deciding to silence you.
You'll have to be patient. It might be a while before seeing the Holy Father.
How is he? Does he sense any pain? Can he sustain it?
He knows how to deal with pain, Your Eminence. Surely you know that. Excuse me.
Per istan santa munzione in sua ampissima misericordia, indulge a tibi Dominus quid per auditum delinquisti. Amen. Per istan santa munzione in sua ampissima misericordia, indulge a tibi Dominus quid per odoratum delinquisti. Amen. Per istan santa munzione in sua ampissima misericordia, indulge a tibi Dominus quid per gustum delinquisti. Amen.
Et locutionem, Father. The exact words at this point should be gustum et locutionem.
Oh, forgive me, Your Holiness, but I'm very nervous.
That makes two of us. But don't tell anybody.
Per istan santa munzione in sua ampissima misericordia, indulge a tibi Dominus quid per tactum delinquisti. Amen.
Your Eminence, someone's been asking for you downstairs.
For me?
Yes.
Nicola.
Christi laus, Christi laus, Christi laus.
Nicola.
Mattia, it's you.
I saw you this morning.
So you did see me. I was going to St. Peter's Square. How is he? Will you see him again before he...
I have to. I never did give him your letter. Forgive me.
Embrace him for me.
May I embrace you?
My dear.
Angelo.
I didn't think I'd see you again.
Don't say that, please. I was with Nicola.
You saw him?
Yes. He's in the square, keeping vigil with the others. He wanted to embrace you, but as you know, Angela, he doesn't have that privilege.
We are still ourselves. Like when we were boys. Like we will be forever.
Hear my confession?
No. I know what you want to say to me.
Please, forgive me.
There will always be a place in my heart for you, my dear. Please, don't suffer. We are made in heaven. We are here a little time. And then we take up our journey again. Father Loris.
Excuse me.
I'm certain that the good Lord, in all his mercy, will not stop me joining him. I give my life to the Church and to the unity of all Christians. But Father Loris, there must be a dialogue between all religions for world peace.
Holy Father. Holy Father. Holy Father.
Now he's gone, isn't he, Mommy?
Yes.
Don't be sad, because where he's going, he has all his family. And you know, I can still talk to him.
Oh?
He told me I could. You can hear me, right, good Pope? It's me, Katerina. Hello. Hello, good Pope. Hello.
Con l'animo profondamente commosso, diamo il seguente triste annunzio. Il sommo pontefice Giovanni XXIII è morto. Il Papa della bontà ispirato santamente e serenamente, dopo aver ricevuto i sacramenti di Santa Romana Chiesa, nel suo appartamento del Palazzo Apostolico Vaticano, alle ore 19:49 di quest'oggi, 3 giugno 1963, assistito dai collaboratori più intimi, dai congiunti, dai medici. Il morbo è inesorabile, acuitosi nelle ultime 2 settimane, che tuttavia non ha impedito al vicario di Cristo di espletare fino all'ultimo giorno, con indomita volontà e pastorale zelo, gli ardui compiti del suo alto ufficio, ha stroncato la sua forte fibra.